Chess is not just a game, y'all. It is a lifestyle. It is a very competitive game, if we're going to be completely honest. Chess is a game that's been with us for a very long time. I would say around at least 1,000 years old. It's all about tactic, it's about strategy, it's about wit. A lot of people that play chess take it very seriously because there's a lot of mental capacity used in order to play the game. It's almost like a puzzle in a sense, but instead you're trying to corner your opponent's king, and if you corner your opponent's king to the point they can't move anywhere, you basically win the game. But you kind of have to achieve that while your opponent is trying to do the same to you. The reason why we're talking about chess today is because the anal beads conspiracy theory in the chess community is finally over. It's been settled, but in order to explain the whole conspiracy behind the whole anal beads in the chess community, we really need to talk about the drama that brought it up to begin with. And with that said, we need to go back 2 years ago when Hans Niemann was facing against Magnus Carlsen in a competitive event 2 years ago around August. So it was a best out of 3, and these two gentlemen was competing against one another. Magnus Carlsen, you probably heard of him before. He is a top dog in the chess world right now. This guy is on a hot streak at this current time. He's like on a 53 game winning streak. He hasn't lost in 2 years. This man is bulldozing everybody that comes across him. But something was off about Hans Niemann, and this is where things start to get a little dicey here. So they were facing in a match, best out of 3, and Hans Niemann beat Magnus Carlsen in the first round. So you have a lot of speculators and commentators that are looking at this and they're like, wow, you know, Hans actually beat Magnus. That's pretty crazy. He took the first game from him. Let's go talk to him. And this is what came about. Check it out.
Incredible start to the day for Hans Niemann, the lowest rated player in the tournament, with the black pieces, a win against world number 1, Magnus Carlsen. And now I'm curious to hear some reactions from Hans in Miami.
Hans, yesterday was a terrible day for you, and today you start out with a masterpiece. How would you summarize it?
Chess speaks for itself.
Is it something special doing this against Magnus, Hans?
So that was a very awkward little interview that happened there. He wasn't really like looking at the camera or not even to the person giving him like a brief interview on like his thought process on the whole match with Magnus. All he said was chess speaks for itself, and he just walks away right after that. Not looking too deep into this, he probably didn't want to talk to anybody, you know, he just wanted to be left alone and just do his own thing. But then it was still kind of weird how he went about that. You literally just won a round against the world's #1 chess player, and you just said, chess speaks for itself, and then just walk away. So many viewers and fans of chess saw this as like a little bit of like arrogance on Hans, because like, yo, like you just beat one of like the greatest chess players in history and you just say that and just leave. I will say this, there was a post that came about on Reddit maybe like a day or 2 later where someone made a post saying chess spoke for itself, and you heard that he's the lowest rated player in the match, and you can see he is right now in 8th place amongst all the other players, with Magnus being #1 for the $40,000 prize money. So we're gonna fast forward a few weeks, and within that time period, Magnus did beat Hans in the second round. Then we move on to the third round of the match between the two. They played against one another, and Hans would surprisingly beat Magnus Carlsen, which means that Magnus officially lost. That would snap his winning streak. That was his first loss in 2 years. After that loss, Magnus Carlsen would then withdraw from the entire event. Shortly after, he would post a cryptic tweet on Twitter where he says, "I've withdrawn from the tournament. I've always enjoyed playing in the STL chess club and hope to be back in the future." He did link a YouTube video where I think it's like a football coach. Basically, for the Americans here, it's soccer, where the football coach would say, "If I speak, I am in big trouble, which would imply that Magnus is keeping his mouth shut on his feelings facing against Hans Niemann. So being the #1 chess player in the world and then just withdrawing after a loss is pretty shocking, and to post a cryptic tweet like that is going to raise some eyebrows. A few days later, we're going to have a YouTube video that was posted by the Grandmaster by the name of Hikaru Nakamura. This guy is also a hotshot. He's like the youngest American Grandmaster to gain that title at the age of 15 years and 79 days old. That is absolutely bonkers to even imagine that a 15-year-old would be capable of competing against the Grandmasters of chess. It's pretty crazy here, and it's a very big deal. He's going to make a video on why Magnus Carlsen quit that event to begin with. It was like a 30-minute video, but just to break that down, Hikaru will go on to say that he found it unusual about Hans was playing against Carlsen, like how he opened a game, like there's opening moves, and there was a way how Hans was opening that just felt unusual, especially when playing against Carlsen. Hikaru would even go as far to even say that Niemann has cheated in the past. So that was kind of throwing a little bit of fuel into the flame on this whole cheating conspiracy or allegations that's been going on. Now, we can finally get to the nitty-gritty part of this whole video here. We need to talk about the AI-powered anal beads conspiracy theory that has surfaced in the midst of this whole drama. So basically, there was a Redditor that made a post about the whole situation. On September 6th, a Redditor posted a conspiracy theory about how both Carlsen and Niemann were supposedly using vibrating anal beads to cheat, feeding chess moves to an AI that then predicted the best next move via coded vibration. I'm going to say this, that is the most wildest conspiracy theory I have ever heard. Like, I never would have thought that anal beads would be in the chess community and people would just run away with it. It was such a funny theory that people made memes out of it. Like, it's now like an inside joke now to many chess fans. They would say like, hey, he probably cheated. Maybe he was using anal beads this time. Like, it is absolutely crazy. Like, we hear a lot of conspiracies when it comes to cheating in some way, shape, or form, but never would I think that anal beads would get into this whole mess of a cheating scandal, especially in a board game like chess of all sports or games that you can play. Fast forwarding a few days later, we have chess.com, which is very well known as a very popular site for chess fans and even grandmasters to play in. They host a lot of events, like official chess events. They're going to ban Hans. Basically, they went to Hans and they said, hey, listen, there has been some allegations and evidence that may support that you have been cheating. We want to talk with you about that. Can you speak on these allegations? And Hans spoke with them about it, and chess.com chose to ban him from the website. So chess.com claimed that Hans may have cheated in roughly like 100 games. Hans did admit that he cheated in 2 of the games, but he didn't cheat in 100. And the craziest part is the games that he cheated when he was 12 years old and again when he was 16 years old, which is freaking crazy. So we fast forward roughly 2 weeks later, the two gentlemen, Carlsen and Niemann, are to compete again. They were scheduled to play in a preliminary for the Julius Baer Generation Cup, an online tournament. Carlsen, playing black, played one move and resigned in an apparent protest to the disbelief of the commentators and viewers.
D4 because this is his main move. D4, knight f6, c4, yeah, definitely. And what? No.
What happened? What?
No. What happened? That's it?
We're gonna try and get an update on this. Magnus Carlsen just resigned, got up and left, switched off his camera, and that's all we know right now.
So this had the chess community in a frenzy. To see the #1 chess player in the world just make one move and then just forfeit the game is pretty wild. And there's a lot of context missing that's going to create a lot of speculations. So you have one campfire of people that are saying that, hey, this could be a protest or an implication that he thinks that Hans Niemann is cheating. Then you have another campfire of people that are saying, well, if Carlsen believes that Niemann was cheating, he should just say it directly. He needs to stop throwing a tantrum, stop beating around the bush, and just say, hey, I think this guy is cheating. We should resolve this. And then there needs to be an investigation. But as of right now, people aren't liking that he's just resigning from tournaments and events and is just quitting games mid-match only because of the possibility that he is cheating, even though there's no official allegation or evidence present that may indicate otherwise. So Magnus Carlsen will post a letter on Twitter where I'm not going to read the whole thing. It's kind of long, but I am going to read the 4th paragraph where he says, I believe that Niemann has cheated more and more recently than he has publicly admitted. His over-the-board progress has been unusual, and throughout our game in the Scenic Cup, I had the impression that he wasn't tense or even fully concentrating on the game in critical positions while outplaying me as black in a way that I think only a handful of players can do. This game contributed to changing my perspective. So this would be Magnus Carlsen's first official statement or allegation that Hans Niemann could possibly be cheating. And plus, it doesn't help that Hans Niemann was just recently banned off of chess.com, and even Hikaru saying in his video that Hans Niemann has cheated in the past. So Niemann is going to sue Carlsen and chess.com for defamation because they didn't provide any evidence to indicate that he was cheating or to enforce the possibility that he was cheating in any of the chess matches. In which I would understand because, well, cheating is a very big deal when it comes to chess, and that could ruin his career and therefore his livelihood. Carlsen is just saying he cheated because I didn't like his body language in the entire chess game and I have a bad feeling about it, hence why I left the match and withdrew from the previous event. And then you have chess.com that claims that he cheated in roughly 100 games, even though Hans has said that he cheated in 2 of those games. He didn't cheat in 100 of them. Then we can fast forward 2 months, 3 months later into 2023, where the conspiracy has finally been put to rest. There has been a settlement between Hans Niemann and Carlsen as well as chess.com. We're going to bring Hans Niemann back into chess.com so he's no longer banned from the website. I'm not sure if there was any money involved. I don't think there was any money involved. They're saying, hey, listen, we're sorry. That's about it. We're putting the allegations to the side. You can come back to chess.com. And even Carlsen even said that he was happy to even face against him and he looks forward to competing against him in future matches. Now, the reason I wanted to talk about this is because I'm a big fan of chess. I love chess. If I had more time in my days, I would definitely play more chess to get a little bit better. But until then, I'm not really that crazy of a player. If I had to give you my ranking, it's probably like a smooth 1,000. That's it. Like a little more, a little less, and that's about it. But for the most part, this whole conspiracy was crazy to me. Like the fact that anal beads and chess was in the same sentence was mind-baffling to me. Now, there has been misinformation and rumors spreading around that Carlsen said that Niemann was using anal beads when it came to cheating. He never did. The first time Magnus even said something, he didn't really say anything. He just kept his mouth shut. He's like, I'm not saying anything. Something's wrong here, but I'm keeping my mouth shut for the time being. And then in the 3rd match, he said, hey, listen, I'm withdrawing from the event. Something doesn't feel right to me. I'm out of here. And that kind of shocked the audience. And then in the next event over, like 2-3 weeks later, he faced against Niemann again. And on the first move, he just quits, most likely in protest. And soon after, he releases a letter on Twitter saying, hey, I think Niemann is cheating. I don't agree with his body language. There's something off there that I don't really see in the competitive field of chess. And therefore, I'm just withdrawing from the whole match. Like, I'm not with this. I strongly feel he's cheating. And in the midst of all that, you have chess fans that really just thought of anal beads and said, you know what? I think both of these grandmasters use AI-powered anal beads to cheat in their games. Hear me out though. It is absolutely insane. And as a chess fan, I was really looking into this and I just realized just now that it all concluded just last year. And I just wanted to share that with y'all because again, I'm a chess fan and this is a serious sport. And the fact that something as silly as using a sex toy in a cheating scandal is just absolutely insane. But until then guys, that's really all I have for y'all. I'll see you guys in my next video. Peace.